People here will tell you farming creates a deep connection to the land. The kind of connection especially significant to one Oregon farm family.
I don't really pay that much attention to the Mount Hood view or the Mount Adams view in the valley, but a lot of tourists from all across the country and around the world, and they just tell me how beautiful this place is and how lucky I am to live here.
The lure of the land is something that fruit grower Ken Tamura can't really explain.
I don't even know how I ended up back here. I always said I would never come back to the farm. Was in California just working, and Dad and Mom called me and said, say somebody made us a good offer on the farm, and if you want to come back, you're going to have to come back now, because otherwise we're going to go ahead and sell the farm. And I guess it tugged at my heartstrings.
Those feelings may have had something to do with the deep roots Ken's family has established here over the years.
My grandparents are from Japan, and my grandfather came over to the United States in 1907, and he learned English and started attending a Christian church. Back then in Japan, their families kind of arranged marriages, so my grandfather went back to Japan, got married, I think it was like 1913.
By 1917, Ken's grandparents had made their way back from that place of Mount Fuji and cherry blossoms to this land of Mount Hood and their own cherry trees.
Part of it was already cleared, but he had to clear it with a grub hoe and some dynamite, and that was very hard work. But my grandmother and my grandfather, that's all they did was work hard back then, and they were able to clear that property and plant some trees.
The Tamuras worked hard, as did their children. The days were filled with picking cherries and school. Their family and the community moved side by side through the 1920s and 30s. But then...
We interrupt this program to bring you a special news bulletin. The Japanese have attacked Pearl Harbor, Hawaii by air, President Roosevelt has just announced.
With the outbreak of war, many Japanese Americans were forced to abandon their property.
The entire family was moved to the internment camp. When the executive order came down, they were taken by train to Pinedale, and they were there for a while, and then they moved to, I believe it was Tule Lake. And then for the final stop, they went to Minidoka. They had a close friend of theirs agreed to watch their orchard and run their orchard for them. And so he was a great guy, and his family watched my grandparents' farm and took very good care of it.
After internment, the family made their way back home. And while life away was hard, coming home was pretty tough too.
There was a lot of discrimination, and there was a lot of anti-feelings, and there were a lot of establishments and businesses they could not go to.
The Tamura family overcame, building a business from the limbs of these cherry trees, which, appropriately enough, symbolize resilience and perseverance in Japanese culture, something the Tamura family knows much about. The lesson for Ken was that diversity brings strength for individuals, communities, and businesses. That diversity came from adding a farm stand and U-Pick program.
I think it's a lot tougher being a grower now, but I think if you pay attention to your P's and Q's and diversify a little bit, I think you're doing okay.
So what percentage of the agritourism business do you have here at Alice's Orchard?
It's a small percentage. However, I think it impacts my entire business and probably our industry, because the more that we get consumers coming out to the farms and seeing how we do things and feel safe about the foods that we eat and how we grow them in the good old US of A.
And it allows Ken to figure out what will tickle future taste buds.
What I've been looking at is the excitement that the customer has for certain types of varieties that we have, and one of them is the Rainier Cherry. For some reason, everybody loves a Rainier Cherry. The customers call and they email us like year-round, asking when are those Rainiers going to be ready.
Very soft and sweet, very delicate.
Yep.
It's beautiful.
It is. Very much so.
This year he'll produce about 650 tons of fruit, but the lifestyle isn't any easier than he anticipated.
Mother Nature is really tough to handle. But we get by, and the saying for a lot of farmers in agriculture is, hey, we'll get by till next year. Next year will be better.
Looking forward and always appreciating the land despite what occurred all those decades ago. In the shadow of this great mountain, among the cherry trees, the spirit of Ken's family watches over.
It kind of makes you feel a little proud that we're keeping a piece of the family going, and all the family's still proud of it.